Here's a full emotional long-form story based on the title you referenced, Marry Me, just 5 minutes. The cold CEO dragged a single dad into the registry office, crafted to fit a roughly 15-minute YouTube narrative with rich characters, challenges, and resolution. I don't have a detailed plot summary of the video itself because the YouTube link couldn't be opened for content, but I've built the story faithfully around the title's dramatic premise and romance tropes like cold CEO, marriage of convenience, single-parent struggles, and unexpected love, ensuring it feels cohesive, emotional, and inspiring for viewers. From the moment Harper Gray walked into the registry office that rainy Tuesday morning, her heels clicked with a rhythm like a countdown, 5 minutes to change everything, 5 minutes to save her future. She wasn't afraid of deadlines. She thrived under pressure, but nothing had prepared her for the look on Luke Bennett's face when she stepped in front of him, breathless but determined. Luke had come to finalize child custody papers. He was a single dad, rough-handed from life and gentle in his gaze, to a daughter who was the best part of him. His son's laughter still echoing in his memory made his shoulders tighten. He didn't expect today to be strange. Then Harper said it, "Marry me, just 5 minutes." Luke blinked. She wasn't a stranger. She was the stern, icy CEO of the tech empire that had just blindsided him with layoffs that shattered his consulting business. A woman who'd never shown an ounce of warmth behind her crisp high collars and even crisper decisions. But there she stood, soaked from the rain, eyes pleading in a way he hadn't seen before, even as CEOs rarely pled. "I'm not joking," she said. "Sign it, and I'll make sure the settlement you need goes through. We walk in, get married, legally, and 5 minutes later, we file an annulment. You walk out richer, me legally married just long enough." Luke's jaw tightened. He saw right past the polished suit and cool demeanor. He saw desperation, a rare crack in her armor that made her human. But he also saw opportunity, and responsibility. Because his little boy, Benji, needed more than bills and half-smiles. He needed stability, love, and hope. Harper's offer was a gamble, yes, but it was the kind that might just save them. So he signed. The registry office was empty except for the dull hum of fluorescent lights and the echo of their footsteps. Harper's words were clinical, rehearsed. "This is a legal convenience contract, no emotions involved, 5 minutes is all we need." But Luke felt something in her eyes that undermined every polished sentence, fear of failure. Just when the registrar called them forward, the first challenge struck. Benji's school called. The little boy had asthma, and his inhaler had run out. Luke's heart stopped for a beat. He excused himself, leaving Harper in the lobby, panic rising like tidewater in her chest. Across that short corridor, Luke wasn't thinking about contracts. He was thinking about Benji's cough in the night, and how one hospital visit had nearly broken them both. He returned holding the phone tight, voice firm but kind, telling Harper he had to take care of his son. Her eyes softened, the very first softening he'd seen. And in that moment of shared humanity, something unplanned happened, empathy. 5 minutes passed in the registry office like a heartbeat stretched too thin. The paperwork was signed. Luke's hands bore ink smudges that felt heavier than any contract he'd ever held. Harper transferred the money she promised, much more than they'd agreed, and her face was calm again, but something in her gaze lingered on Luke's expression. They walked out like two separate worlds that had collided and immediately receded, only, they didn't. The second challenge came when the inheritance clause Harper had been trying to fulfill twisted into a corporate scandal. The board demanded proof of authenticity. They didn't want a marriage of convenience. They wanted a real family image to appease investors and the press. Pictures, dinners, a narrative that looked loving. Harper came back to Luke, not with brash demands, but with honesty. "I can't do this without you," she said quietly. "Not if it means pretending to be something I'm not." Luke looked into her eyes and saw the truth. She wasn't cold. She was guarded, afraid that if she let anyone close, she'd be weak. But she wasn't afraid of Benji's laughter. She wasn't afraid of the chaos of real life. So he agreed, on one condition: his son comes first. Always. And slowly, over dinners that weren't staged and moments that weren't photographed, something deeper grew. Harper learned how to make pancakes that barely resembled her usual perfection, and Benji taught her how to play video games without throwing the controller. Luke saw her laugh, a sound more rare and precious than any business triumph. But life wasn't done testing them. The third challenge arrived like a storm. Benji's asthma flared during a night when the power went out, and Luke panicked. Harper stayed beside him, breathing with him, calming him, not as the CEO, but as someone who loved this imperfect little family more than she'd admit. The next morning, when Luke stepped out on the balcony to gather his thoughts, Harper stood beside him. Maybe 5 minutes wasn't long enough, she whispered. He didn't turn to look at her, but he felt warmth spread through him, the kind that didn't fade. When the board finally confronted Harper with the ultimatum, annul the marriage or lose everything, she stood before them and chose honesty. She spoke about truth, about family, and about love that wasn't convenient but was real. Some investors balked, some walked away, but most stayed, because sincerity is rare, and integrity is powerful. Luke watched from the back of the boardroom, heart swelling, as Harper chose them. Chose love over convenience. Afterward, when it was just the two of them in a quiet street, Luke turned to Harper. 5 minutes was all you asked for, he said gently. What if I want a lifetime instead? Her answer wasn't cold or calculated. She smiled, the kind real smile that reaches the eyes. Then I'll give it to you. And just like that, the registry office became more than a place of fleeting legalities. It became the beginning of a family born not of convenience, but of courage. Final message. Love isn't found in perfect plans or short contracts, it's forged in honesty, in shared struggles, and in the courage to choose each other again and again. Sparkles, and sometimes, what starts as 5 minutes can become forever. Asterisk.